Discover the incredible heartwarming journey as a city girl transforms a farmer's life in 30 days. Maya stood at the edge of her late grandmother's property, her heart heavy. The farm was an expanse of whispering fields framed by a rusty white fence, yet all she could feel was a sharp ache of loss. Just days ago, she was a high-flying marketing executive in Chicago, confident and poised, planning her next career move. Now, without a job and adrift in a small town, her dreams felt like fragile glass shattering beneath her feet. Memories of carefree summers here as a child flooded back, but now, they felt like ghosts haunting her. As if answering her turmoil, the door to the neighboring farmhouse creaked open to reveal Tom. Rugged and sun-kissed from long days, he stood with arms crossed, sizing her up like a cattle buyer. His posture spoke volumes: hard work, unyielding principles. Maya looked down, feeling the comforts of her accomplished life slip further away. He was a farmer, thick hands accustomed to toil, while she was a city girl, thoughts dancing only on the glossy surface of ambition. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice low and gravelly, breaking through her spiraling thoughts. I'm Maya. Just moved in," she stammered, worry creeping into her words. She wanted to explain, to say she wasn't here to disrupt, but the weight of her previous life felt like a burden she couldn't cast off. They both stood there, worlds apart. His brow furrowed, as if he was trying to make sense of how this city girl fit into the rural landscape he knew so intimately. Days passed, and Maya tried to find solace in routine, but she couldn't shake the feeling of inadequacy. As she wandered through the farm, she noticed the weeds creeping, the barn in need of repair. Tom worked tirelessly, but gravity of debts and family expectations lingered in the air. It was a struggle she had never faced, and she felt an odd mix of admiration and helplessness. Then one evening, while sharing a cup of coffee in her grandmother's cozy kitchen, an idea sparked. "What if you let me help?" she blurted out nervously. His skepticism was palpable, she could see him wrestle with disbelief. "I don't need saving," he finally replied, yet something sympathetic flickered in his eyes. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." And so began their unusual partnership, with Maya armed only with a rusty old marketing plan and boundless determination. As they navigated hay bales and tech strategies, their worlds collided in unexpected yet beautiful ways. Yet, just as things started to bloom, dark clouds gathered on the horizon. A storm was brewing, and the sky churned ominously, foreshadowing a tempest that threatened to unravel everything. She could feel the weight of their budding bond hanging in the balance. Would they rise against the tempest together, or would their bridging dreams simply dissolve into the wind? The harsh reality loomed: could two people from such different worlds truly find common ground against the odds? The wind howled, sending a chill through the air as dark clouds rolled in, casting a shadow over the farm. Maya could feel the tension in her bones. She glanced at Tom, who stood at the edge of the porch, hands on his hips, staring out into the distance like a soldier awaiting orders. The weight of the moment was palpable. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The storm wasn't just in the sky, it was brewing in their hearts as well. Tom turned to her, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "We prepare. We can't let this farm go down without a fight." They quickly gathered supplies, moving with urgency. Maya found herself surprising herself, running back and forth between the barn and the house, filling buckets with tools and ropes. For the first time, she felt a sense of purpose ignite within her. This was her chance to prove not just herself, but to Tom that she could contribute, that she was more than just a city girl lost in the cornfields. As the first drops of rain began to fall, they hurried to fortify the barn. Tom's hands were swift, and he worked with a focus that spoke of years of dedication. Maya watched him, the way his brow furrowed in concentration, the muscles in his arms tensing as he pulled the boards tighter. She felt an unfamiliar warmth spread through her, not just admiration, but an evolving connection, like roots intertwining beneath the surface. "Hand me that," he called out, not even looking her way. She didn't hesitate. Even in the chaos, her heart raced. "Got it!" she shouted back, tossing a sturdy rope as the wind picked up, making the trees sway ominously. The barn door creaked as they secured it shut. They both paused, breathless and soaked. "You did good," Tom said, a hint of a smile breaking through the worried lines of his face. The compliment sent a rush of warmth through Maya. Just then, a roar of thunder cracked through the air, startling them both as the sky opened up, pouring sheets of rain. They laughed nervously, adrenaline pumping, but their smiles faded as the storm intensified. Winds howled, and the noise became deafening. "Let's check the livestock," Tom yelled over the chaos. They darted outside, bracing against the wind, working as a resilient unit. As they moved, Maya felt exhilaration pumping through her. Yes, this felt like a new chapter. She recognized that she was learning, adapting, unearthing strengths she didn't know she had. But with every smile they exchanged, every time their shoulders brushed, she felt the stakes rise. "Tom!" she shouted, as he wrestled with a gate that threatened to blow away. "When this is over we should really talk about what we can do beyond just surviving." He paused for a fraction of a second, his gaze piercing through the storm. "Yeah, and maybe then you'll realize this is more than just a summer fling." Before she could respond, a crack of lightning shone bright, illuminating the twilight chaos. Something flickered in Tom's eyes, a storm of emotions battling just beneath the surface. Before the words could leave her lips, a tremendous crash resonated, jolting them both. The barn's roof buckled under the weight of wind and rain, debris raining down around them. "Get inside!" he shouted, urgency in his voice. Fear flooded her heart, but along with it came a confidence. They had faced the storm together, and now, they'd face whatever came next, together. As they rushed back inside the house, the only thing on Maya's mind was the strange feeling blossoming in her chest. Was this more than just a partnership to save a farm? With the wind rattling around them, she wondered what this storm would sweep away, and what seeds it might plant instead. Inside the house, the storm raged on, rain slapping against the windows with a fury that sent shivers down Maya's spine. She and Tom huddled close, both still catching their breath. The air felt electric, thick with the tension of unspoken words and hidden emotions. Tom reached for a flashlight, its beam cutting through the dim light of the living room. "We need to check the supplies in here. No telling how long this storm will last." His voice was steady, but she could see the flicker of worry in his eyes. "Right. I'll help," Maya said, trying to match his resolve despite the uneasiness gnawing at her. They moved through the kitchen, collecting anything they might need, but the weight of the moment kept pulling Maya back to the outburst earlier. She stole glances at Tom, his strong silhouette cast against the flickering light. Each movement he made felt imbued with purpose, a purpose she found increasingly difficult to ignore. The kitchen felt warmer, filled with a kind of camaraderie that lifted her spirits. When Tom finally turned to her, face softened by the glow of the flashlight, she felt her heart race. "Maya, He stopped short, shaking his head as if trying to force his thoughts back. She could sense the turmoil within him, much like the storm outside. "You what?" she urged, taking a step closer. He sighed, running a hand through his damp hair. "There's just so much at stake here. It's not easy to just throw feelings into the mix, I know. But this feels different." Maya's words tumbled out, a brave front rising to the occasion, pushing the boundaries of her typical hesitation. "We've been through so much already tonight. But what we're dealing with, it's a lot," Tom replied, his vulnerability surfacing in the way he looked away, as if the depth of his fear could take form in the shadows. "So, What? We pretend none of this is happening? She challenged softly, letting the truth push through the cluttered air between them. We just act like this is all just about the storm. Tom took a deep breath and finally met her gaze, and in his eyes, she saw a reflection of her own confusion and hope. He opened his mouth to say something, but another crash of thunder echoed around them, forcing them back to the present. They both jumped at the sound, laughter bubbling up nervously. "Looks like we're in for quite the night," Maya said, attempting to steer them away from the heaviness of the conversation. "Yeah," he replied with a slight smile, the tension easing, if only for a moment. "We'll take it one step at a time." When the power flickered and dimmed, they instinctively moved closer together, sharing warmth against the chill that swept across the room. As fear surged and danced between them, Maya whispered, "This is bigger than just the storm, isn't it?" "Yeah," Tom said quietly. "Bigger than either of us wanted to admit." A heavy silence enveloped them, interrupted only by the relentless howl of the wind and the patter of rain. Maya knew they were at a crossroads, and she needed to choose which path to embrace. Before she could ask where that path would lead them, a loud crash resounded from outside, shaking the very foundation of the home. "What was that?" Tom exclaimed, eyes wide. "I don't know, but it's not good," she said, a tight knot forming in her stomach as adrenaline kicked in once more. With determination, Tom grabbed her hand. "We need to check it out. Together." The storm still raged, but now something much deeper began to stir between them, pushing them to confront not just the chaos outside but the wild implications within their hearts. What lay ahead for both of them felt like uncharted territory, but one thing was certain: it was leading them somewhere neither had planned. As they stepped out into the storm's fury, bathed in rain, Maya wondered if they could face whatever awaited them and, perhaps more importantly, if they could navigate their own burgeoning feelings when the storm had finally passed. The rain hammered down, wild and furious, like an army of tiny fists demanding entry. It soaked Maya to the bone as soon as they stepped outside, the cool liquid splashing on her cheeks making her shiver. She squeezed Tom's hand tighter, their fingers intertwined, anchoring her in the chaos. "Stay close," he said, his voice barely audible above the howl of the wind. They moved cautiously away from the warmth of the house, the flashlight's beam cutting erratically through the torrential downpour. Each flash revealed the shocking transformation of their surroundings: trees swaying dangerously, branches flailing like arms in distress. The world felt electric, teetering on the edge between natural beauty and raw menace. "What was that crash?" Maya asked, glancing toward the edge of the property where the sound had come from. An eerie sense of dread danced in her chest. "I think it was the old shed," Tom replied, pulling her closer as if her presence alone could ward off the frightening energy surrounding them. "Let us check." Navigating through the growing puddles, they struggled against the wind, which seemed almost alive, shoving them back with every step. "This doesn't feel right," Maya said, her heart racing not just from the storm but from the urgency written in Tom's brow. She could see the small shed ahead, partially obscured by the relentless rain. As they approached, the beams from the flashlight revealed an unsettling sight: a significant portion of the roof had collapsed, taken down by the wind. The wooden structure groaned under the storm's weight, looking frail against the raging elements. Tom glanced at her, concern etched across his face. "We need to secure whatever we can from in there, just in case it falls apart completely." "Are you sure?" She hesitated, fear creeping back in. The unfamiliar sounds of the storm drowned out everything else: the creaks, the pops, the whispers of their own unsettling thoughts. "We'll be quick," he reassured her, his grip firm on her hand, as he began toward the door. With a deep breath, Maya followed, adrenaline surging again. Stepping inside, the smell of wet wood engulfed her. The shed was a clutter of old tools and remnants of projects long abandoned. It felt claustrophobic, filled with shadows and the remnants of forgotten times. "We need to get those tools out, just in case we can still salvage something," Tom shouted over the storm. He moved swiftly, picking through the disarray, tossing aside what seemed like junk. Maya's heart raced as she joined him, her hands moving instinctively through the mess. It was so easy to lose sight of the panic when they were together, even in a storm. They worked side by side, grabbing rakes, shovels, anything that appeared salvageable amidst the chaos. Then, as the wind howled its fury outside, she felt the moment shift. She turned to Tom, his face inches from hers, the flashlight beam illuminating his determined expression. "Maya," a deafening crack echoed from above. Instinctively, she pulled back, and before she could react, a piece of debris fell from the ceiling, narrowly missing them. "Get out!" Tom shouted, grabbing her arm as they bolted for the door. They stumbled outside, the wind pushing them down the muddy path as the shed seemed to protest one last time before groaning and collapsing completely behind them. Ground Zero had morphed from a haven into a shell of their surroundings. Panting and drenched, they stared back at the destruction. Maya's heart thundered in her chest. It was wild and chaotic, but so was everything they faced. Together. "This storm, it's bringing everything to the surface, isn't it?" she asked, catching her breath as the rain lessened, momentarily revealing calm behind the chaos. Tom turned to her, his expression shifting from concern to something deeper. "Yeah, and maybe that's not such a bad thing." Maya trembled, not just from the cold but from the moment that felt electric again, full of possibilities. As they filed back inside, the air shifted, anticipation crackling just as fiercely as the storm outside. She knew this was just the beginning. Everything was changing. But could they handle what was coming next? Would the storm reveal truths they weren't ready for? The air inside the house felt heavy and charged, like the moment before a summer storm. Droplets of water dripped from their hair, pooling on the wooden floorboards as they stood in the dim light, catching their breath. Maya felt a strange mix of exhilaration and fear, as if the storm had not only ravaged their surroundings but had also stirred something deep within her. "Do you think it's over?" she asked, glancing back toward the window, where the rain was still falling but with less intensity, a gentle patter now rather than the earlier roar. Tom, shaking out his hair like a dog, narrowed his eyes at the still dark sky. "I don't know. It might just be taking a breath before starting again." Maya's heart sank. "But we have to do something. We can't just sit here and wait for it to destroy everything." That fierce determination flashed in her eyes, making Tom smile despite the dire situation. "You're right. Let us figure out what we can do to prepare for whatever's next." They moved toward the kitchen, which felt warm and inviting despite the chaos outside. It was a relief to escape the storm and feel grounded again, surrounded by the remnants of their life and the familiar scent of brewed coffee. As they rummaged through cabinets looking for supplies, Maya's fingers grazed over a dusty cookbook, its spine cracked and pages yellowed. "What about this?" She held it up, her voice brightening. "We could meal prep. If the power goes out, we should have food that doesn't depend on cooking." Tom chuckled. "Meal prep during a storm? Sounds like something we need for a picnic, not for survival." "Hey, you never know." She fired back, unable to suppress a grin. "It'll keep our spirits up." They settled at the table, a makeshift workspace amid the dreary weather. Pages flipped under Tom's touch as he scanned through the recipes. "Pasta salad?" he suggested, raising an eyebrow. "It won't go bad without cooking, and we could add those veggies from the last market visit." "Perfect," Maya replied, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "And we can make some sandwiches too." As they began jotting down a grocery list, the storm outside shifted again, the wind pressing against the walls with a newfound ferocity. But instead of fear, an unexpected calm settled over Maya. Here, together, they were crafting their own island amidst the turmoil. "We should get more bread," Chip's Tom's voice trailed off as he looked up, his eyes catching hers with intensity. "You know, this whole thing is bringing us closer together, isn't it?" Maya felt heat rise to her cheeks. "Yeah, it is." Something shifted in the air between them, a promise, a connection. Just then, another crash resounded outside, a larger piece of debris falling nearby. Maya jumped, heart racing again. What was that? Probably the old fence, Tom stated, looking concerned. We need to check it out. If it's down, the animals could get loose. Maya's spirit faltered, a sinking dread pooling in her stomach. But it's still storming. What if it collapses on us? Tom took a step closer. Maya, we might not have a choice. We can't risk it. We need to fix this before something worse happens. She steadied herself, running her fingers through the dripping strands of hair framing her face. Okay. Let us go check it out together. Just promise me we'll stay close. Always, he said, a fierce resolve in his gaze. With a flashlight in hand, they stepped out again into the storm's fury. The rain pummeled down, but this time they walked side by side, bolstered by purpose rather than fear. Each step felt like a dance against the elements, a choreography they were learning together. Maya, Tom called lightly, breaking the tension as they approached the edge of the property. Just think of this as our next challenge. Yeah, she laughed softly, feeling lighter somehow. Like a stormy adventure. But as they neared the broken fence, the shadows deepening around them, a distant crash echoed that sent a chill down her spine. What was that? She whispered, heart pounding. I'm not sure. Tom paused, fear creeping back into his voice. Suddenly, they saw a figure. Emerging from the stormy dark. Who is there? Maya shouted, her voice trembling with uncertainty. And then the figure stepped into the dim light, revealing something or someone they never expected. The figure stood there, framed by the sheets of rain spilling down like curtains. Through the wind and the noise, Maya's heart raced. She couldn't grasp the details at first, just a silhouette highlighted by the sporadic flashes of lightning. Stay behind me, Tom ordered quietly, stepping protectively in front of her. The light from the flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing more of the figure. As they approached cautiously, the storm unveiled a soaked stranger, a woman, her clothes clinging to her body, eyes wide with equal surprise and fear. Help! She shouted over the wind, her voice cracking. Maya's uncertainty shifted into concern. Are you okay? The woman nodded, but panic danced in her eyes. I was in the car. I lost control near the bend. It flipped. I don't know if anyone else is with me. Her voice was rough, almost fading into the storm's growl. They exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between them. We need to get her inside, Tom whispered to Maya, his eyes never leaving the stranger. Can you walk? Maya asked, stepping closer. The woman nodded again, her breaths coming out in shudders. Let me help you, Tom said as he stepped forward, taking the stranger's arm. The three of them battled against the rain as they made their way back toward the house. Each step felt heavy, not just from the rain soaking their clothes but from the weight of uncertainty that seemed to grow with the storm. Inside, they shut the door hard against the elements. The sudden quiet wrapped around them like a blanket, but it was tense. The woman leaned against the wall, trying to catch her breath. Her eyes flitted nervously between Tom and Maya. Thank you, she said, finally. I thought I'd be stuck out there forever. Maya offered a warm smile, attempting to reassure her. You're safe now. We'll figure this out. Tom grabbed a towel from the rack and handed it to the woman. Start here. You'll feel better when you dry off. Maya moved to the kitchen, her heart racing with the intensity of the sudden turn of events. What if someone else was out there? What if the woman had left someone behind? She could feel Tom's presence behind her, a quiet strength grounding her when uncertainty threatened to overwhelm. Do you know if anyone else was with you? Tom inquired gently, concern etched in his features. The woman rubbed the towel against her hair, her expression turning grim. I don't know for sure. I was focused on the road. I just hope they're okay. Maya turned to Tom, her chest tightening. We should go check it out, just in case. His face paled slightly, the weight of their new reality settling in. But the storm, we can't leave anyone behind. If they're still out there, her voice faltered, thick with emotion. Tom nodded, and they both turned back to the woman, who was watching them intently. You really think you can go back out there? She asked, disbelief mingling with gratitude. Yes, Maya replied, determination fueling her words. We'll help anyone we can. Once more, they pulled on their jackets, the adrenaline pushing against the fear. Each crash of thunder seemed to echo their resolve. I want to let you go alone, Tom murmured, meeting Maya's gaze fiercely. But just before they headed out, the stranger grabbed their arms. Wait. If there is someone out there, I want to go with you. I can't just sit here. Maya hesitated, the weight of the storm daunting. She could feel the winds howling outside, the air thick with uncertainty. But something deep inside her stirred a fierce determination echoing in her heart. Okay. But we stay together. We have to promise each other that we don't separate. Tom nodded, fear melting into resolve as the three of them stood on the threshold of the storm. As the door swung open, rain swirled around them like a wild dance, each droplet blurring the lines between fear and hope. They stepped into the chaos, hearts pounding, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Maya, Tom called, steadying himself beside her. This is more than just a storm. Yeah, she replied, a mixture of fear and excitement igniting within her. This is just the beginning. And with that, they plunged into the storm, each step marking their commitment to not only survive but to bring light to the darkness and perhaps discover more than they ever expected in the process. The storm was relentless. Rain pounded down, creating puddles that splashed against their legs as they fought to keep their footing. Each gust of wind whipped around them like a living thing, tugging at their jackets and filling the air with the scent of wet earth and fear. Maya glanced at the woman, whose name she still didn't know. What is your name? She shouted above the storm, straining to be heard. Alice. The woman cried, her face etched with anxiety. Okay, Alice. Just stay close to us. With Tom leading the way, they moved as one unit through the wild chaos of the storm. The world around them was darker than it had been inside the house, shadows stretching and shifting, making their hearts race. They had to remind each other to breathe as they pressed onward into the unknown. Do you remember the crash? Was it near here? Tom asked Alice, trying to guide her as much as he could. Yes. I think I saw a tree. Her voice faltered, the memory stinging like a fresh wound. They picked up their pace, adrenaline coursing through their veins. As they reached a bend in the dirt road, Tom raised the flashlight, its beam sweeping over the twisted wreckage of a car. It sat nestled against a tree, cowering under the weight of falling branches. There! Tom yelled, his heart hammering in his chest. Maya felt a jolt of dread mixed with determination as they sprinted toward the wreck. There was a possibility that someone was still inside. She stole a glance back at Alice, whose face twisted with anxiety. We're going to help them. Stay close, she reassured, gripping Alice's arm tightly. When they reached the car, Maya dropped to her knees, carefully inspecting every inch in the flickering light. To her immense relief, she noticed the driver's side was empty. But as she peered through the back window, panic shot through her. Tom! He hurried over and leaned against the shattered glass. What do you see? There is someone still inside. Maya exclaimed, breath catching in her throat. Is it safe to get them out? Tom asked. They might be hurt. We have to try. Maya insisted, her fingers trembling as they grasped the fabric of her jacket. All right, let me look, he said, moving to the door that hung at an awkward angle. He pulled on it, but it wouldn't budge. The storm continued to howl, a feral reminder of the urgency they faced. Can you hold the flashlight? Maya asked Alice, who nodded resolutely. As Maya turned back to Tom, she could see the worry etched on his face. We need to apply force suddenly, a crash of thunder deafened them, and the light flickered. "No!" Maya shouted, panic flooding her veins. "Can't we do it faster?" "Stand back!" Tom ordered, and Maya scrambled away. He put his shoulder to the door, gritting his teeth. With one fierce push, the door swung outward, revealing a man slumped over the wheel, unconscious but alive. Relief mixed with anxiety surged through Maya. She forced herself to breathe slowly. "Help me with him," Tom urged, and together they pulled him free. As Alice held the flashlight steady, they dragged the man to safety, the wind howling like a predator behind them. Maya's heart pounded against her chest as they laid him on the ground. "Is he breathing?" "Let me check," Tom said, leaning close. Minutes felt like hours in the harshness of the storm, concern overwhelming them. But before they could analyze the situation, a low moan came from the man, and Maya practically erupted with hope. "He's alive!" she shouted, relief washing over her. But as that realization hit, another crashed wave of thunder rolled overhead, intertwining with an eerie silence that fell over the scene. Something deep inside Maya had begun to shift, a connection igniting with the unknown. "Where there's one, there might be others," Tom murmured, scanning the chaotic surroundings with concern as the rain continued to pour. Alice's eyes widened in understanding, fear threading through her voice. "What if we find someone else? What if they need help, too?" "Then we find them," Maya declared, her own transformation becoming clear. She was no longer just a city girl facing a storm. She was someone who had decided to act in the face of fear. Tom gripped her arm as they exchanged a determined glance. "Together, right?" "Together," Maya confirmed as they rallied, ready to plunge deeper into the storm. But as they turned back toward the road, a sudden, chilling realization hit them: the storm might not be the only danger lurking in the darkness ahead. The rain lashed at them like an angry beast. Each step they took felt heavier, the mud sucking at their boots. Maya led the way, wind whipping against her face, adrenaline turning her fear into something fiercer, something sharper. "Do you see anything?" she shouted to Tom as they pushed deeper into the storm. "Not yet," he yelled back, scanning the darkness hungrily. "But stay alert. We can't be the only ones looking for help." They moved cautiously, each step echoing in the deafening symphony of thunder and rain. In her heart, Maya felt a flutter of hope mixed with dread. Finding more people could mean finding more lives to save, lives like the man they had freed moments ago. Alice followed closely, her voice trembling. "What if we can't find anyone?" Maya turned back, locking eyes with Alice. "We have to try. We can't leave anyone behind." Determination burned in her chest, fueling her resolve as they trudged onward. Suddenly, a faint light flickered in the distance. It was barely visible through the veil of rain, but it was there, shining against the shadows. "Tom! Over there!" Maya shouted, pointing towards the glimmer. He squinted ahead, his shoulders tensing. "Let us go. Hurry!" With renewed urgency, they sprinted towards the light, the squelching mud trying to keep them back. As they approached, an outline of a figure came into view. It stood next to another truck, the frame crumpled, the lights flickering desperately. "Is someone hurt?" Maya called. The figure turned, revealing a woman pale and frightened, but standing tall despite the chaos around her. "Yes. My husband was inside. He might be trapped." Without hesitation, Tom jogged toward the truck. "We'll get him out. Stay here." Maya kept close to Alice, offering silent support. The simplicity of Tom's assurance burned brightly in Maya's heart. They were a team. Each moment unified them, merging their fears and hopes. Tom approached the truck, assessing the damage with quick, decisive movements. "We need to free the passenger side," he shouted, and Maya immediately dropped to help. "Let us do it together," she said, joining Tom on the other side of the battered vehicle. Her hands slid into the gap, working frantically. She could feel the throbbing pulse of uncertainty, a realization hitting hard that their time was running short. Alice shone the flashlight inside, and the woman's cries tore at them, filled with desperation. "Please, he's in there. You have to hurry. Just give us a second," Tom urged, his voice tight with focus. As he and Maya heaved against the door, a sharp crack echoed through the storm. "Almost there," Maya cried. She felt the door give way, an explosion of hope surged through her as she flung it open. Inside, a man lay groaning in pain, oxygen desperately escaping along with his breaths. "Help me," Tom called, as they both leaned in, ready to pull him free. "Hold on," Maya shouted, reaching out. Their hands, slick with mud and rain, met the man's, and they pulled with every ounce of strength. As they wrestled him free, intensity pooled between them, their shared fear and hope, a bond as thick as the storm around them. Just then, a blinding crack of lightning split the sky, illuminating the scene for a brief second. They were all suddenly aware of everything: the pain, the fear, and the sheer power of their will to survive. As they dragged the man onto firm ground, Alice fell to her knees, tears blending with the rain. "You did it," she sobbed, relief flooding her voice. But before they could celebrate their small victory, a chorus of yells tore through the wind, echoing in the darkness. "Help! Help us!" Maya's stomach dropped. "More," Tom whispered, his face lighting up with fierce determination. The trio exchanged glances, eyes wide with realization. "It doesn't end here," Maya breathed, a shiver running down her spine. "We have to go back." But a raw fear clawed at her insides as they turned back into the fray. Would they really be prepared for what lay ahead? As they stumbled deeper into the storm, the calls started to fade, leaving behind a haunting silence that felt heavier. Then the rain falling around them. Each step echoed a painful truth: they were entering a nightmare, and the true test of their strength was yet to come. The rain continued to thrash down, a relentless curtain that swallowed all sound except for the beating of their hearts and the heavy thud of their boots against the soaked ground. Maya could barely see Tom and Alice beside her as they pressed into the thickening darkness. "All we can do is keep moving," Tom urged, his voice strained against the storm. "They're counting on us." Maya nodded, though doubt crept in like the chill of the wind. What if they encountered more devastation? What if more lives hung precariously, waiting for rescue? Tugging her coat tightly around her, she felt the cold grip of fear clutch her chest. As they moved further, shouts and cries turned to moans and whispers, lost beneath the screams of the tempest. Suddenly, a new sound emerged: splashes, frantic footsteps, shouts of help bouncing across the wind as they stumbled upon a small group gathered on the edge of a flooded field. "There!" Alice yelled. The water swirled around them, rising swiftly, and panic blazed in their eyes. A few people, drenched and terrified, clung to a half-submerged tree, desperation etched in their expressions. "Help!" one man shouted, waving his arms frantically. "We can't hold on much longer. We can save them." Tom yelled back, his lips pursed and eyes narrowing with resolve. "Maya, grab a branch." Heart pounding, Maya scanned the ground. She spotted a fallen limb nearby, thick and sturdy. She dashed toward it, mud splashing around her, and heaved it off the ground. "Here. Hold it steady," she called, plunging into the flooded water, bracing herself against the current. They needed to get the branch to the struggling man first. Tom moved with her, swallowing his hesitation. They inched closer, extending the branch toward the terrified group. The man reached for it, fingers straining, almost meeting the splintered end. "Grab on. We want to let you go," Maya shouted, her voice strong, battling against the chaos around them. Lightning struck again, illuminating the haunting faces of their would-be rescues, and in that brief moment, Maya felt a connection, a chorus of fear and hope. With an unsteady grip, the man caught hold of the branch, and Maya tugged as Tom steadied it. Keep kicking. Don't let go. More hands reached out as they pulled the man closer. He clung tightly, teeth chattering, but determination brightened his dark eyes. I can't swim. You don't have to. Just stay with us. Tom's reassurance rang through the storm, and together, they heaved and strained, inch by inch. With one final push, they freed the man from the water's grip. He collapsed onto the muddy shore, gasping for air, and was quickly followed by two others. The relief in their cries contrasted sharply with the ongoing roar of nature's fury. We have to find more. Alice exclaimed, breathless and looking around wildly. As Maya caught her breath and glanced back, the pounding rain suddenly shifted into a ghostly hush. It was as if the entire world paused, holding its breath with them. Maya, Tom whispered, eyes wide. Her stomach twisted. Before she could react, more figures emerged, shadowy and wraith-like, fighting their way through the dark. They stumbled, mud-coated and desperate. Maya. Tom. One voice called, striking at her heart, familiar yet distant. Is that? Maya's breath caught. She gazed upon a face she hadn't expected to see, one belonging to someone she had believed was safe. The world tilted sideways as fear grappled with surprise. Mom. And just like that, the storm wasn't the only thing intensifying around them. Would she be able to reach her in time? With her heart racing, Maya stepped forward, determination taking over all doubt. She was not only fighting for those trapped in the flood. She was fighting for her family. But who else would she find in the darkness ahead? Maya's gut churned as she stared at the figure emerging from the darkness. It was her mother, drenched and wild-eyed, the storm's chaos reflected in her expression. Maya. She cried, voice cracking, a mix of relief and fear. Mom. Maya sprinted forward, her heart pounding in her chest, overwhelmed by the sight. Every fear she had about losing her family rushed back, threatening to pull her under the weight of the storm. Tom and Alice flanked her, their gazes fixed on the others stepping out behind her mother. Are there more? Tom asked, authority and worry clashing in his tone. I saw a few more there struggling to get across. Her mother gasped, still trying to catch her breath. They need help. The urgency snapped something inside Maya. We have to move fast. She felt a flicker of hope ignite. They were all together now. They were fighting the storm as a family, forging bonds stronger than fear. The rain beat mercilessly on their heads as they regrouped. Alice, you stay with my mom. We can't lose anyone else, Maya instructed, meeting her mother's worried gaze. Be careful. Her mother called, each word a reminder of the stakes. Tom, let us go. Maya shouted, already moving back toward the murky water. They plunged into the swirling chaos, the mud sucking at their feet, trying to pull them under. As they navigated through the flood, they shouted, hello. We're here. Over here. Came a desperate voice. They turned towards the sound, pushing away the fear that threatened to engulf them. A small group clung to a tree, gasping for breath, clinging to hope. You have to help her. One woman shouted, pointing frantically. Who? Tom yelled, struggling against the current that pushed back at them. My sister. She's trapped. The woman's voice broke, panic swelling around her as the storm howled on. We'll get to her. Maya promised, her voice firm despite the tremors in her heart. Tom nodded firmly, and together they tore through the swirling water toward the tree. The limbs were slick and dangerous, but they wouldn't let fear anchor them. They reached the tree, and their flashlight illuminated a figure tangled in the branches, struggling to breathe. I'm here. Just hold on. Maya called out. Hands reached for them, and they could feel panic biting at their heels. Tom reached up, his arm extending toward the woman. Grab my hand. We're getting you out. With a surge of strength, they pulled her to safety. You got it. Hang on. Maya urged, adrenaline roaring in her ears. Finally, the woman cried out in relief as they hoisted her onto solid ground. Gratefulness radiated from her face as she gasped for air. Thank you. Thank you. More. The woman demanded, her voice choked, urging them onward. As the chaos of the storm surrounded them, Maya's determination sharpened. We can't stop. We're in this together. Thunder cracked, and the storm surged around them, but their resolve held steady. They ventured deeper into the storm, searching for anyone else. Each moment of unity filled Maya with warmth, her heart swelling as they fought for their family and those lost. Look! Over there! Tom shouted, pointing toward the edge of a neighboring field. The tremors of fear coiled tight within, but with each step, they pushed it aside. Emerging through the dark mist were another two figures, silhouettes wading through the water, desperately trying to stay afloat. Help! One cried. They surged forward, Maya's heart pounding against her ribs like a drum, the chaos surrounding them fading as she focused on the two struggling souls. Hold on. She propelled herself into the waves, her body igniting with purpose. She was not just a city girl anymore, she had transformed into a beacon of hope amidst the storm. They reached out, arms stretching through the rain like lifelines. Finally, the two figures latched on, fear leaving them the moment they felt solidity under their grasp. Got you! Tom shouted, pulling with all his might as Maya steadied them. As they fought against the tide, the faces transformed from panic to relief, and hope sparked anew within them. As they pulled the last survivors onto solid ground, a moment of quiet washed over them. You guys did it! Alice cheered, her voice almost drowned under the drum of rain. Maya, breathless but exhilarated, looked around at the faces gathered. Each expression reflected joy, relief, and admiration. Not yet, Tom said, glancing back toward the now calm horizon. We need to wait for more. As they huddled together, the storm began to recede. Thick clouds gave way slowly, revealing a sliver of moonlight peeking through the waning chaos. The drenched night sky promised a new dawn. In that profound moment of togetherness, Maya understood that they had transformed not just the farm and lives that surrounded them but themselves. Each storm weathered had forged deeper connections, showing them that even amidst raging winds, there would always be hope, there would always be family. As the last reminders of the storm faded into the distance, laughter bubbled between the group, twinkling like stars finally breaking free. Their fingers entwined, unyielding. They were bruised, drenched, but together they had not only survived the storm, they had emerged stronger, reborn in the heart of chaos. It was time to rebuild, to nurture what had been left unsaid, to forge a future apart yet entwined. United in purpose and spirit, they all turned away from the dark remnants of the storm. And in that moment, Maya smiled, holding her mother's hand tightly, feeling grounded and whole again. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation.